First, you actually have to be different and better than your competition. I'm not going to pay you more if you're not different or better.
Chad walked away from a seven figures, okay? Not six, not five, seven-figure book of business to fix the broken systems he saw in his industry. And now he helps leaders build high-margin, scalable companies, even in the toughest environments.
Second issue, without getting into much detail for all kinds of good reasons, were legal, navigating through restrictive covenants and figuring out what I could do and what I couldn't do contractually as I started a new business, and finding myself, on the wrong side of that a couple of times during the early stages, like legal fees mounting, during that time, when you have no money coming in. So that was a lot of pain. And once I hit the 2-year mark, everything opened wide open. Build your 3-year org chart. Let's lay out what roles would exist in that company 3 years from today, and then allow that to cause you to ask what would need to happen to turn that into a reality.
Back at you with another Friday habit, or as I like to say, Friday habit.
Nice.
And today we got an awesome guest, Chad Prinkey. He is the Stinky Prinkey. And he's the founder and CEO of Well Built Construction Consulting and author of the Amazon bestseller, Well Built. Chad walked away from a seven figures, okay? Not six, not five, seven-figure book of business to fix the broken systems he saw in his industry. And now he helps leaders build high-margin, scalable companies, even in the toughest environments. Chad knows what it takes to create sustainable growth that lasts. So, Chad, welcome to the Friday Habit.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, buddy. And I haven't heard that nickname since middle school. Brought me back, bro.
Oh, sorry about that, dude.
No.
I don't want to bring any traumatizing.
No, not at all. Middle school was awesome. I was relatively popular despite the nickname.
Okay. There you go. That's awesome, man. Where did you grow up?
All over the place, actually, man. I grew up, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, and then due to my dad's work, we ended up moving to mid-state New York, and then down to Kentucky, and then over to Germany, and then back to Pittsburgh, and then to Maryland, all before I graduated.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that was like
so what has the home vibes, like
Pittsburgh.
when you go okay, Pittsburgh. Because where are you now?
I'm in Maryland. I live north of Baltimore, and I've been here a long time now. I mean, I finished high school here. I've been here for over 20 years. It's been great.
Oh,
but,
nice.
I'm very much a fan of this area. But yeah,
dude, I was just out there. I was maybe 2 months ago. I was out there, got me a big old table full of blue crabs, and I was just cracking and eating and sucking. It was the best.
Dude, it's a religion around here. There's no doubt about it. Everybody has their favorite seasoning. I know I have mine. I've got
what are you going? Are you going Old Bay? Are you going,
Old Bay. Old Bay's for visitors, bro. Old Bay. Yeah, no, I'm a Bill's Crab Terrace Inn guy. Bill's Terrace
okay,
Inn.
Dude, where can I buy this? On Amazon or
you
something?
You can buy it on Amazon, actually. Yeah, BTI seasoning. Yeah, that is the bomb.
I got a buddy who does a crawfish boil a few times a year, and so I'm gonna roll in with the BTI and be like,
I don't know how it goes on crawdaddies, but I know it is the thing for crabs. You want
dude,
blue
I'm
crabs?
I'm sure it's amazing on crawdaddies.
It's gotta be good. You're right. It's gotta be good.
Gotta be.
But it's a very unique seasoning. I'm telling you that the nuances are real around here, and it's like you buy them, you steam them, you get your own seasoning, or you're the lazy schlub that goes buys them steamed. That's
that guy.
Yeah. No, not me.
But when you need to fix, you don't want to do the thing. Well, the one thing I don't love, and when I was actually out there, they did it right. It's sometimes when you get the corn and it's like they just threw in some frozen corn and it's kind of all mushy and it's just not great. But the place that I went, I can't remember the name of the place. They threw in the fresh corn, and so by the time you got it, it was sweet and crispy and just the best.
I'm not kidding you when I tell you if you got a bad crab joint around here, you don't last. It's just
oh yeah, I'm sure
no option. Yeah, it's very expensive. Crabs are more expensive here than anywhere because we're addicted to them.
You eat more than anybody else.
Yeah, that's right. No, they know people are paying it. They're like 120 a dozen. You're like, yep, I'll do it. I'm in.
It's like crack, you just.
It is. It is. It's so
You
bad.
can't say no. That's cool. And what about kids? You got family out there?
I do. I've got 3 boys, 13, 11, and 6.
Okay, so you're in the thick of it, dude.
Yeah, living it. It's travel sports all the time.
All right, what are we doing? Like baseball, football?
Weirdly, and this is the Pittsburgh roots, we play hockey around here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
and my
that's
kids actually play hockey in Pennsylvania because there's so very little hockey to be had in Maryland. So
Right, yeah, okay.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, well, we're coming out there. We're going to be out bringing the family down. We got some family friends that we have been friends with for like a couple decades, and their parents live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, let's go to D.C. Let's do a whole D.C. thing, and then go to Lancaster and hit the farmers markets and whatever. So I'll be out there in several weeks and enjoying that, which is the best time to come over there because,
It is.
see, I'm spoiled because living in Colorado, we got no humidity, no bugs. We got more days of sunshine than Florida. It's a great place. I love it. But then sometimes when you go back east during like the fall, like if you've been to like Boston in October and the trees are changing color and it's just, you're right by the ocean. You're like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a special place. No doubt. Fall is everybody's favorite season around here. It's the best.
Yeah. Well, dude, tell me a little bit about the business. What I hope to get out of all the conversations that we have on this show is really to mine the experiences that other people have, and maybe whether it's the successes or failures, so that we can kind of learn from those, and maybe even apply some of the things that you've learned that you share with us to our own businesses, so that we can, be more profitable and have more autonomy and freedom and all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit of that journey of, walking away from a baller business and kind of like why you decided to do that.
Well, yeah. So it was interesting. I came into my last company, which was fundamentally a sales training organization that was totally industry agnostic and B2C training and B2B training, didn't matter. And it was extremely valuable experience. I realized that I was being hired by companies to grow profit, not just sales at the end of the day. They didn't just want sales growth. And short version on the background is the only people that I really felt like I understood their business were construction companies, contractors, due to my background. And so I worked with all these contractors on sales. And it was having a phenomenal impact, but they weren't increasing profit. When I initially started working with them, just driving sales, growth created problems, man, and they weren't ready to absorb a lot of that growth. And so,
well, right, because growth really puts a magnifying glass on all the issues that you have, all the systems that are broken and the processes that aren't there. And so it's like, as you start to grow, it can almost be the downfall and the curse of a company if they're not prepared for it.
But perfectly said. And I can't think of an industry where that's more true than for construction. Because the labor that's actually required to do the work, your cost is wrapped up in all this labor. And if you're having overruns on labor and you don't have controls and systems to spot it, it can get way out of hand really fast. And as I always tell contractors, way more construction companies die from gluttony and food poisoning than they do from starvation, right? It's either too much work, the wrong work. It's usually not enough work. And that's not true for a lot of other industries, but that is definitely true for commercial contractors, which is really my home base. And so at any rate, here I was working at this sales training company and creating all kinds of business problems for the companies that hired me. And I was like, this is not acceptable. I've got to fix these problems. So I started really diving into operations and leadership and finance and all these different types of things. And I woke up one day, 10 years in to working for that employer. And I realized, like, I've built this super weird consulting business that's totally focused on the construction industry, and everybody else here is like doing sales training for software companies and insurance companies, and they're doing a great job, but I'm like, one of these things doesn't fit, right? So I left to create a business that was wholly dedicated on the construction industry, so I could surround myself with resources, people who come from the construction background and who know the nitty gritty of estimating and project management and field management and all the things that you really have to own in the construction business. That I knew enough to be dangerous, and I knew enough to lead strategy and those types of things. But I wanted to build a team of people who truly understood the nitty gritty and could help these contractors to not just grow, but to grow profitably and create places that create happy customers and happy employees.
Yeah. How do you weigh the risk of leaving something good for the chance to build something great? Because it seems like obviously you had something going and you had a secure job and all these other kind of things. And so, what do you sit down with your wife and saying, "Hey, I think I could start my own thing and really provide value to this industry"? My
wife is the most trusting and patient wife a person I think could ever ask for.
Preach. Yeah, why don't we just put that on repeat? You could clip that, and we'll just send that to her.
I will, man. Yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, I should do that more often. But so yeah, I mean, totally. You have a conversation. I had a conversation with my wife and laid out the. I think it was mostly based at the time a little bit less on the vision of what I could do, and a little bit more on the frustration of what I wasn't able to do within an environment where I just didn't have the tools, the
resources. There's constraints about who you can offer as a vendor or X, Y, and Z. I get that. I mean, that totally makes sense.
And so the original sort of decision was born maybe a little bit less out of like, look at this amazing thing we could go create, and like, I know exactly what the hell I should be doing and I'm not, and I need to fix that. And so the motivation was kind of, which is an interesting thing, right? Because if you look at human psychology and our desire to either pursue pleasure or avoid pain, pain avoidance is a much stronger driver of action.
Right.
And were I not experiencing the various pains that I was experiencing in working for that company, I don't know that I would have pursued anything greater. Do you know what I mean? I don't know that I would have. I don't know that I would have done that. But I'm certainly, in hindsight, right at the time, I was super mad.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, this guy's a jerk, or whatever. But as time has gone on, I've learned to be very thankful for those issues that caused me to start that fire and leave. And so the other piece of it, man, is that it was relatively low risk because. At least in my brain, you're
like my wife's heir to the Walmart, thing.
No, we're a couple of public school kids from very blue collar households, man. We got none of that going.
Okay.
But no, it was relatively low risk, and I'll tell you why. Is because I had 100% certainty that I could sell and grow a business. So that like the worst it would ever get is I was just replicating, like, because essentially where I was, it was just me. I was over in this corner doing this really weird thing that nobody understood, and I was like, well, I can go do that on my own right now because I've been doing that on my own for the past 13 years. So I'm good. So I knew I could go and do that. Now. I couldn't work with any of my past clients for a period of time, right? I had some limitations. Right. So there were those hurdles to overcome, and those fears to overcome. But press forward nonetheless. Because I knew the worst thing that would happen is I'd sell at least up to the book of business that I was able to manage already by myself, and I would do that by myself. But that wasn't the goal. That wasn't the vision. It was just kind of like when I did the worst case analysis, I was like, dude, I can get here in 2 years. Give me 2 years and I'll be squared away.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. That's an encouraging story, too, for all those people who are kind of listening and thinking about maybe doing their own thing, jumping off, taking the leap, and just betting on yourself, and believing in your ability to work hard and get things done. And, it really, I always say, just kind of pushing through the pain to the other side of where success is waiting for you,
That's right. And there was definitely pain I did not imagine. But that definitely hit for sure in the first couple of years.
Yeah. What kind of pain, like, were you saying, like, just financial or just trying to, build something that kind of from the ground up, or what?
So I think the first issue was financial, just, going from steady income to nothing. And
feast or famine.
Absorbing that. And then the second issue, without getting into much detail for all kinds of good reasons, were legal, navigating through restrictive covenants and figuring out what I could do and what I couldn't do contractually as I started a new business, and finding myself, on the wrong side of that a couple of times during the early stages. Like, darn, I thought I was good. I guess I'm not good there. I thought I could do this. I guess I can't do that. Those types of things, and legal fees mounting, during that time, when you have no money coming in. So that was a lot of pain. And then emotionally saying no to all these clients that were coming to me and saying, like, hey, we were working together for 5 years. I really need your help. Can you continue to work with me? And I'm like, I can't. There's nothing I can do. I can't help you for 19 more months, kind of thing, right? Like, and thank you for calling. I appreciate your interest and turning that business down. But all of that gave way to just an overwhelming sense of appreciation for all of these. It was incredible how many people rallied to my support and helped me to stand the thing up, either because they're just genuinely good people, or because they believed in what I was doing, or just liked me personally. And I think it comes in all three of those stripes. That's cool. So much help that helped me to push through those early days. And then then once I hit the 2-year mark, everything opened wide open.
That's awesome. I was reading one of the stories, or I saw that you would kind of help a contractor. You went from like 300 to like 3,000 employees. Yeah. What did they get right that others often miss, kind of in that range?
So this is gonna sound really played out, but it is genuinely true for that particular company, is that their true scale ability came from their culture. They had an incredibly well-defined organizational culture, the do's and do nots. They were explicit and implicit, and everyone acted accordingly. And they had a leadership development machine inside their business. And so I think if the number one driver is culture, the number two driver was creating people who were chomping at the bit for growth opportunity. And a large group of people. We're not talking about like 2, 3, next up kind of guys at any time. Like 15. Amazing people who are like capable of running a new geography for them, capable of running a new line of business and things like that. That created point 3, and I cover it in that order because the third thing that drove their success was simply a continual focus on growth. But the culture of that saying, like, no matter how big we get, this is who we're going to be. And the leadership development machine that was saying, we need to grow so that I can level up and do the thing that I really passionately want to do, created the third thing, which is just a constant growth engine where it's not growth based on like the back of a top salesperson or 3 top salespeople, but an army of people who are committed to growing this business and taking it to the next level. And today, those are outdated numbers. Today they have about 4,500 people.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you help leaders build teams then that scale with the company instead of kind of burning out as it grows?
I think training on leadership, mentoring on leadership, like, to me, the scale all comes down to, well, there's several things that go into scale, but one of the critical aspects in scaling is that you can't really scale past your leader's ability to manage to lead that effort. And companies that struggle, that are bumping up against a limit, what I think one of the things they have wrong is that they've got this mentality of like, I've got my right-hand guy, and that's going to be the person that helps me to scale this business. you're going to need a lot more than one. You're going to need a whole team of leaders, and leaders come in different, shapes and sizes. You have your like high-end strategic leaders. You have your in the trenches, day to day, make sure everybody does their job at a high level leaders. And you have to have them all the way through your organization. So you can't just kind of have this mentality of, I'm on succession, right? I'm the CEO and I know who my right hand is going to be. And so I've got my succession plan. Nah, man, succession is so much bigger than that. It's who's going to step up as the next field manager? Who's going to step up as the next superintendent? Who's going to step up as the next project manager? Who's going to step? You have to have answers to every one of those questions, which means we have to be cultivating leadership at the appropriate levels all the time. And so that I think is how you can scale without burnout, because burnout tends to come from putting way too much responsibility on a very small handful of highly capable people.
Right. Well, yeah, and there's that because hiring is hard, right? I mean, sometimes you have to go through a lot of crappy people to get to the gems, And so, I sometimes feel like people wait too long to bring in more people because of the headache that comes with maybe hiring, or really wanting to stretch your resources as thin as you can and use everybody that you have there to maximize profits and margin and things like that. I guess one of the other things I was thinking about as I was kind of researching you and looking into some of the stuff you've written and whatnot, you say that competing on price is a trap, and there's like a smarter way to kind of position value. My question to you is, how do you break free from that price competition? Because it always seems like it's a race to the bottom for everybody in so many industries, right? Yeah. It's like you're trying to get the job, you're trying to get the gig, and so a lot of times you're just bidding like at that number that will hopefully change somebody's mind and really make them choose you.
So first, you actually have to, this is the hard news, everybody buckle up. First, you actually have to be different and better than your competition. I'm not going to pay you more if you're not different or better.
Right.
Fundamentally, if that's not there, you're going to be competing on price. Now, of course, everybody thinks they're different and better, but you have to go and get objective proof that you're different and better. You have to understand what your competition is doing. You have to understand how they're perceived by their clients and your shared clients. And one of the beautiful things about the construction industry, and I know it's this way across lots of other industries as well, but it's just, again, the only one I feel qualified to really talk about aside from consulting. And in the construction business, people do business with the same customers over and over again, right? That general contractor hires that subcontractor over and over again. That developer hires that general contractor over and over again. And they also have the ability to compete it out every time. And so you're always getting data points from other competition, where their prices are, what their customer experience is, and so on and so on. At any rate, it gives you the ability to learn whether you, in fact, are different and better. It gives you the ability to learn where your customers are dissatisfied and where the opportunities for improvement are. And those are gifts that allow you to really actually, step one, be worth more money. Beyond that, you've got to be good at selling. You got to be good at developing relationships. You've got to be there. I mean, there's a lot of those, types of things in there. But the reason you don't want to get trapped in a race to the bottom is that companies that don't make money have a very hard time being good companies. It's very difficult to reinvest in your business, be a great place to work, all those types of things when you have no profit, when your margins are razor thin. It's painful before it's good, but you got to make the investment in being a best-in-class operation for your customers. And next, my next best recommendation would be to invest in business development and marketing and sales, education, staff, things along those lines, so that you're really good at telling that story and selling the promise. Because if your operational machine is actually better, all you need is more customers, and they will tell your story for you.
That is so true. And again, I love what you said about be something that's actually better and different. Like, have a self-awareness about your company and your business, and maybe even face some hard truths that you might need to change some things or let people go or, whatever that might be in order to help you get to the place where you can be to be successful.
100%.
And so as people are kind of moving through those difficult seasons, what's the mindset shifts you think that are essential for business owners who want to play the long game?
Probably the first and hardest and least popular is that your income can't be the priority of the business's top responsibility can't be to get you rich as you're trying to scale the thing. And that sucks. There's a number, and everybody kind of has a number.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it's not, it's a bummer, but it's very frequent that like the first conversation I'm having with business owners is like, you need to leave more money in the business, and you need to spend more.
It's like,
of it
listen,
on your company.
Get rid of the Denali and just
Right, and dudes who are honestly like just little things like this drive me freaking nuts. People, not just guys, right? But it does tend to be the guys that are idiots.
Just can be dudes.
Yeah, I know, but it does tend to be the guys that are the dum-dums. But people who are like maxing out their 401k as an owner, doing like the $52,000 contribution or whatever it is, $48,000 contribution that they can do as a business owner, plus taking all this money out of the business and then investing it in crypto and the stock market and stuff like that. I'm like, are you going to spend any money on your business? Because that's the one you control. And I'm seeing you just pulled out $250,000 to invest in a freaking Buddy's liquor store, and you're not spending that money on hiring good people that would actually take this business to the next level. What are you thinking, man? Like, what are your priorities? And so that's like maybe the first major and uncomfortable mindset shift is you got to stop thinking about building your personal wealth through income and outside investments. You need to start thinking about building your personal wealth through investing in a business that will generate wealth for you. Now, listen, I'm not a financial planner, and I'm certain that there are financial planners out there that are like, no, but and I'll grant you that there are there are limits to what I'm saying, but if you're treating the company like your piggy bank and you're investing outside the business more than you're investing inside it, I think that's dumb. Right? So that's number one. Beyond that, some of the harder conversations wrap around like that guy that's been with you forever, that employee that's been with you for a long time, that got you from where you were to where you are today, that is no longer suited to get you to the next level. You can see it. They can see it. It kind of sucks. And, having a willingness to make those hard decisions and move different people above that person. I will tell you that I don't think you have to fire them. I think there are opportunities for you to reach.
Okay.
But if it depends on the kind of culture you've created. If that person really is like your buddy and they helped you to get this thing from where it was, and you guys are tight, like really genuinely tight, then that person is going to understand and respect when you come to them and say, I'm going to need to hire somebody that's going to be your boss, and that's going to be awkward. But I can't elevate you to this role, and I love you, and I don't want you to go anywhere, and I want you to help to take this company to the next level in the same way that you've been doing, but somebody else has to lead this next phase. And the best leaders I know even call themselves out on that, right? Like the best CEOs I know are like, I'm not smart enough to do this whole thing. And I'm looking for people to do my job. That company that went from 300 employees to 4,500 with 3,000 right at the time, that company, their owner took himself out of the president's role and promoted a president and said, you are in charge. I am here. I will vet decisions, but I'm actually going to spend more of my time observing what's going on in the field and doing QC because that's what my gift is. And obviously I'll be the financial say-so and those types of things. But this is your show. You own it. You're the boss. I'm out of the way. And nobody reports to me but you. Right? And that happened around 120 employees, and that absolutely sent them on a trajectory to the moon because that owner had the humility and the trust.
Yeah, that's huge.
Unbelievable. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You have to be willing, including yourself, to look at your resources and say, are these the right resources to actually get me where I'm trying to go? And I could keep going, man, like the list of mindsets.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what signs do you think one should kind of look out for when it's time to bring in new leadership or restructure roles?
Anytime you are not getting the result, even after having inserted yourself and had like a strategy conversation with the person and they're back to delivering the exact same result, the litmus test that I often give, this is actually the test that I give to my consulting staff, which are all really, really smart, super highly capable people, blah, blah, blah. When I always say to them, would you accept from yourself what you are seeing from that leader? If the answer is no, you would not accept that for yourself, don't lower the bar for them. Make a move. Right? Make a move. And that's the hard, like, so many owners, this will be kind of fun. So many owners walk around, Mark, and they have this idea of themselves, not because they're jerks, but because they are entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are like superheroes. They have little capes, and they deserve our love and appreciation. Entrepreneurs are heroes, and they're job creators, and I love them. But they have this very self-limiting and stupid view that they are magical and special and that they shouldn't hold other people to their standard. Total trash. That's total BS. People will live up or down to the expectations you have for them. And if you have people in your roles right now where you're looking at that and you're like, I could do that better, then replace the person, right? Done.
That's hard.
You see what I'm saying? Move on. Replace the person. Because if that person isn't, you should not accept what you're seeing from that human if you would not accept it from yourself. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very powerful. And
it's at least bold.
Yeah, definitely bold. But again, right, sometimes you have to make hard decisions in order to grow. And I think that's the biggest thing. I know even for me, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, and, trying to evaluate, okay, what's the next 10 years look like? And say I want to remove myself from this business in the next 5 to 7 years, like where does it need to go, and how do I get it there? And then what talent and who do I need to be here to help get it to that place, And so, again, as a leader, sometimes you have to have that self-awareness to know when maybe even you might be the bottleneck in the processes, and having to remove yourself from it so that you can grow and take things to the next level.
Yeah,
so,
man. Yep. It is scary, but it's true.
Yeah, it's just part of life. Tell me a little bit about the book and just the whole idea around it and the concept, and why you wrote it, and who's it for?
So at the time that I wrote the book, which was 3 years, took me 3 years to write the book. But at the time that I started writing the book, to the time I finished writing the book, I had worked at that time with about 240-ish contractors, and over the course of my career. And truth be told, when I sat down to start writing the book, my initial motivation to write was to create a comprehensive playbook for my consulting staff. That was actually what I was doing. I wasn't trying to write a book that I would sell or publish. And as it didn't take long. I was about 60 pages in. 60 words. I was about 60 pages in.
3 years to write 60 pages.
60 pages. I was about 60 pages in. No, it was like a week to write 100, and then everything else took forever. But when I was about 60 pages in, I had the realization of, like, this is actually a book. Like, this can be the playbook for my consulting staff.
Right,
and it'll be an important read for anybody that's coming onto my team. But this has potential. And so what the book's all about is, in my time of working with those 200 plus contractors, a very small handful of them, but very, very special handful of them, I would honestly tell you, kind of like taught me more than I taught them. And things that I was observing that just represented excellence in operations, in sales, in leadership, in business strategy, and things along those lines. And so what I wrote the book to do was to bring some structure and order to what I was seeing as the common threads in what the top 2% of contractors that I'd ever touched were doing. And so I laid them all out, and I, did a whole analysis. And I did. I looked at all
serial
these
killer board.
Yeah, totally. It was one of those kinds of things. And I looked for the common threads, and I surfaced the common threads, and those served as my as the the 6 systems that I write about in the book that these companies nail. And so emulation of these habits. And that it objectively creates incredible success for construction companies. And again, as I mentioned to you, it's the only kind of company I feel really qualified to advise. But it's funny, when you said, hey, I'm trying to get my business from here to here. I'm trying to exit in 5 to 7 years. Blah blah blah. I started thinking about your business, and I'm like, dude, I don't know where to start. I'm stuck. I have no idea. But when I run into that with 80 employee electrical contractor, I'm like, show me an org chart and I'll tell you exactly who you need to hire in what order over the next 3 years. I know that. I have the facts, and that is maybe another piece is get help, man. Find people who've been there, who've done it, who know exactly what it looks like, and who didn't just do it themselves, but who've ideally helped lots of companies to do it. Because no 2 companies are exactly alike.
Yeah. So what are the 6 systems? What are those 6 bullet points?
So the first is installing a foundation in your construction business, and what that really ultimately, I won't have to tell you the chapter names. I'll just tell you what the hell it means. So the first system is total financial ownership and transparency. There are so many business owners, and again, I don't know if this is true outside construction. I imagine it is, but so many business owners, right? Yeah. So many business owners that don't have a handle on their numbers. And construction numbers are complex. They're hard.
Oh yeah.
It's difficult. You've got WIP, and you've got all kinds of stuff I don't need to bore your audience with. But construction is difficult.
Materials, contractors, subcontractors. It's equipment rentals. It's wild, I'm sure.
Totally. It's hard to keep a handle on it. And there are some best practices that if you don't have in place, you don't really know the health of your business. And if you don't know the health of your business, I can't tell you how many times, man, companies will come to me and they'll be like, I want you to help us to build a strategic plan. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let me dive in and take a look at what's going on in your business. And I come back to them after 3 weeks and I'm like, we're not doing a strategic plan. You're getting your finances straight. That is our first step, because I know you want to dream big, and I know you want to, you read Traction and you're all fired up. It's super, right? You don't know your numbers, Sparky. So
get a CPA.
Yeah. I'm like, we're going to spend the next 3 months getting your financial house in order, and then we can start having big dreams if you can afford them, right? So we got to figure that out. So that's the first thing, and it mostly does surround finances, but it also surrounds having internal communication cadences and just the structures that if you put in place will ensure that you have a good, firm grasp on all of your get work, do work, support work functions every week inside your business. So that's what that's about, right? The second system is about your clear strategic direction, vision, mission, values, relatively standard stuff upon reflection. But it's also, there are some nuances in construction that make it, kind of especially important to say what work we want and what work we don't, that kind of stuff. So the next piece is excellence with people. And this is everything from your training programming, your onboarding, your cultural standards, leadership development, succession planning, all those types of things. Beyond that, it's how you get work. It's how you feed your system, right? And then we look at operational excellence as a whole focus. This is that piece about actually being different and better than your competition. And then lastly, we talk about all the things that you're doing to extend your advantage, which is reinvesting in your business, and where you reinvest and how you reinvest very much matters in construction. There are some boondoggles one can chase, and in the book we help people to avoid that and put their money where the returns really are.
Yeah, I love that. It's great. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I've really enjoyed our time chatting and just hearing about just your life experiences and then just all the things you've created to really help an industry be successful. And so I really appreciate that. I like to leave everybody with kind of an action item, like something to say, hey, starting next week, what is the one thing that we can do or practice that can put in action some of these things or help us build a more well-built company, you know?
Here's one that I think guides so much positive decision making that I'll leave you with. Build your 3-year org chart. Build your 3-year org chart. Go ahead and take a draft at, if you were the company that you want to become in 3 years, what would your organizational chart look like? Leave names off to the side. Just lay out what roles would exist in that company 3 years from today. And then allow that to cause you to ask, what would need to happen to turn that into a reality?
Thank you. Build your org charts, everybody. Because then, too, you can kind of work backwards, right? Okay, how much money do we need to make in order to hire this role or this position? Okay, great. Well, where do we go get that money from? You know, and all it kind of spurs a whole other conversation and starts putting things into action. So I've never heard that before. That applies to my business, and I'm not even in construction.
That's awesome, man.
That's great. Hey, where is the best place if people wanted to connect with you or buy your book, or if this resonates and they wanted to figure out how to go to the next level? What does that look like?
Yeah, man. Home base is the website, wellbuiltconsulting.com. That is the number one place where you can kind of jumping off point. You can engage with us all across all of our things there. We've got a couple of podcasts. We've obviously got the book. We've got a newsletter. And our team is super active on LinkedIn and creates all kinds of really interesting, useful content, that reaches across industries, certainly aimed at the construction industry, but that could be useful for all. So, but yeah, home base, wellbuiltconsulting.com.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in to the Friday Habit. If you go to thefridayhabit.com, you can find show notes for this episode, and there you can also find links to our websites and ways to get in touch. At the bottom of the page, you can download our guide to the Friday Habit system. And that's going to help you set aside one full day dedicated working on your business instead of always in your business. You can reach us at hello@thefridayhabit.com. And until next time, remember, live every day like it's Friday.